Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. Each week, our hosts will be interviewing local, regional, and national business leaders to give you an inside peek into how they lead their business to success in the ever-competitive business climate.
Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. Today I have a very special guest, Tabatha Thorell, who is a native of rural Nebraska and a devoted wife and mother to 5 girls. With a career spanning 16 years, she began as a fitness coach, earning a reputation for motivation and persistence alongside her high school sweetheart. Tabatha has been a successful real estate investor for nearly 2 decades. Beyond fitness coaching, Tabatha is a best-selling co-author, speaker, life and business coach. Her diverse skill set and passion for helping others achieve their dreams have made her a sought-after mentor. Tabatha's podcast, What Went Wrong, is where she shares inspiring stories and insights and adds another dimension to her impactful presence. Tabatha, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Lance, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Before we get into what you do now, I have to ask everybody how they got here. Are you from a family of entrepreneurs? Where does that spirit come from?
I am not from a family of entrepreneurs, but I'm in a family of working really hard for whatever you want in life. My dad was an electrician. My mom had an autoimmune disease, so she was ill from the time I was 2. I'm the youngest of 5. So I was 11 weeks early in the 80s, which is like crazy because, you know, a preemie baby in the 80s doesn't usually survive, or, you know, it was all new back then. So I said I was born with persistence, and impatience. I'm going to be here and I'm going to be here now. So I think that's kind of where it comes from. Just seeing my parents struggle and not liking other people to tell me what to do, I think drove my entrepreneur spirit, because I was like, I am not working for somebody else. I want to have life on my terms. I wanted things differently. I always saw a vision of more. Now, when I was younger, it's still crazy now what I can actually live and have a reality of. But even back then, I just saw it as a way. I knew I wanted to make money because we didn't have a lot. So I just sold lemonade, cleaned old ladies' houses, worked the front desk at our local pool because I wasn't old enough to be a lifeguard. I just did anything that I could get money because we didn't have it. And I knew I had to work for it.
Yeah, having money isn't everything, but not having it is. I mean, that just it bleeds through entrepreneurs like us. Well, then, what got you into real estate investing?
My husband, he comes from a family of farmers, and they had actually some cattle, and his dad hated him. And so he sold all his cows and bought rental properties when my husband, I think he was about 16 years old. And my husband was just a skilled carpenter at a young age. He just always had a knack for it. And so he went and he helped his dad, fix him up, get renters in there, do all the things. And so when he was in college, he came to me and he said, "Hey, Tab, I want to buy this house. I'm going to live in the bottom, rent out the top. Would you help me, renovate it?" And I'm like, "Absolutely. Let's do this." We also saw a future together, and we knew that there was going to be no retirement plan for us. We were like, we're going to have our own businesses. If he was going to farm or whatever, there was going to be nobody that was said that for us. We knew the government wasn't going to take care of us. So we're like, let's do this as wealth building. We didn't call it that at the time, but we were like, we can retire early, right? And so he bought that property, and within another year, he bought another property. And, we just fixed them up and got renters in there. And it was kind of crazy because my husband was 21 and he was dealing with parents of the tenants usually, and they're in their 40s and he's in his 20s. So it was a learning dynamic and stuff. And so that's kind of really what got us started in real estate.
Yeah, at a very early age. That's amazing. What does your guys' portfolio look like today?
So we have, I believe, 12 going on 24 in the next 2 years. We are going to double our properties. We're in the process of that. If anybody knows, when you acquire properties, you have to be very strategic tax-wise and financial and getting the money for that, of course. We're actually in the middle of a deal of doing storage units as well, and just processing that, where they're going, making sure that the land is good, because there was some stuff on the land, and environmentalists and stuff like that, all the red tape. But yeah, we have well into 7 figures. I don't know the exact number, but we have 12, I believe, right now. We acquired 2, and we were at 10 for a long time. And so I'd kind of have to go back and look at it. But we just recently hired a property manager.
Wow.
We did everything else ourselves for the last 20 years. We just did it. And I don't advise that to anybody, excuse me, but we're fear, I think, of like, oh no, if we have this property manager, what if
Sure.
things go wrong? We'd heard horror stories. And so we just stayed away from it. But I said, if we're going to double in the next 2 years, this mama can't manage all of the tenants. And so we hired a property manager, and we're in the process of that.
Yeah, you have to learn exactly. If you're going to multiply, then you have to figure out how to multiply yourself and then delegate and be
Yep.
confident in all of that. What are the did you guys both have primary jobs to get this off the ground from the beginning?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So my husband by trade is a farmer, and he has a construction background. So he has a construction management degree. I have a
Mm.
marriage and family studies degree. We don't really use those, but that's, we went to college, we did the thing that everybody told us to do. And then I've been coaching people. I started in fitness, kind of transformed into fitness nutrition, relationship, life. I loved helping people. So people would say, hey, Tab, can you coach me on this? And I'm like, sure. So I would coach people one-on-one on different areas throughout the years. And we were involved in a network marketing company that really opened my eyes to personal development and leadership. So I got a lot of training in that area over the years. And, raising these 5 babies, I was the primary person that was at home while my husband was doing, the farming and heavy in the rental properties as far as renovations and anything that needed to be done. And then I kind of did the back end stuff. I'd go with him when I could, but again, our babies were my main priority.
Yeah.
So unless we could take them with, which we did a lot of times, but when you're in Nebraska in July and you're cleaning out a house and it's so humid and hot, and these babies are like, I just want to go to the pool,
Yeah.
so we would do that. We'd bring them along. And it's always been a family thing for us. We've always incorporated our kids and taught our kids about money and investments and different things, and just taking them along with the journey.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, I mean, the reason I'm asking is like you guys do a lot of things, and
Yep.
some people say do real estate as a full-time gig, but you guys are doing multiple things.
Yep.
Your husband's a farmer. That is a full-time job. I mean,
Yeah.
I grew up in a farming family. One side was a cattle rancher, and on the other side
Yep.
was a sugar beet farmer up in rural North Dakota. So I get it. So
Yep.
how do you guys balance all the roles, and then how do you feel about shifting the word balance to harmony instead of balance?
Yeah, because I don't really believe in balance per se. I get this question almost every podcast interview I do, just because, I'm a mom, I do all these things. And I say, for me, I balance my emotions.
Mm.
Like, where do I feel like today I really need to be? Because as a mom, let me tell you this, and I'm sure guys get it a little bit, but I think
Hmm.
men, it's just more culturally normal. Like, you're the provider, you can leave, it's fine. I had a dad that worked, sometimes 18, 19-hour days. And so I was not close with him. And all through, honestly, until college, like, I did not have a good relationship with my dad. And I said, when I have kids, especially if I have daughters, which I have 5, I am going to help bridge that relationship with them. And I don't want my husband to work 18, 19 hours, that he needs to be present in our kids' lives. And so I saw that really early on. So I don't ever really use balance. I say, where do I need to be? And as a woman, the mom guilt is intense,
Mm.
and your kids love you. And my 3-year-old, she'll tell me, but mommy, our babysitter comes, and I said, you love our babysitter. She takes you to the park. She reads with you. She gives you popsicles. And she's like, but mommy, you read to me. You take me to the park. I love you, so she still wants me, but I have to look at my emotions and say, look at the reality. Okay, my babysitter's there for maybe 4 hours a day. I am there every other moment of the day. So I am making an impact on her life. I am still the biggest influence on her life. And I can't let the emotion of that moment that I just want to hug her and be like, okay, I'll just stay here. I need to look at our family's financial future, the impact that I'm supposed to make in other people's lives, and be like, my daughter is okay with this amazing babysitter that treats her like her own, right? And so I do a lot of managing of my emotions and saying, what's my priority today? You know, my older girls, they still need me, but they need me in a different way. So I just look at like, where am I needed? How am I feeling on this? Am I just not wanting to go into work because there's something uncomfortable that I have to do, like a sales call, or I have to negotiate a deal, or, do something like that? Is that why I don't want to go into work? Or do I not want to stay home because there's tantrums and emotions and I'm like, I don't want to stay here, right? So like I just have to kind of look at like, where am I really needed, and mastering my emotions, like you said, to bring it harmony. So at the end of the day, I can say, I did the best today that I possibly could with everything that was going on, with everything that I am today, everything else I can give forgiveness to. I learned to forgive myself. And I think that's really important for entrepreneurs, investors, business owners, anybody, parents. When you can forgive yourself for your shortcomings and saying, I would love to do all this stuff. Like, we have 2 more business ventures that have came into our life, and I would love to do them. And I'm like, oh, trying to figure out, how can I do them? But here's the thing, I still have a 2 and 3-year-old at home. They're not in school. So I don't have 40 hours a week that I can just devote to stuff. So I have to learn to say no right now, and maybe yes in the future, even though I'm like, oh, I really want to do this. I really want to take this business venture. But my marriage and my family is so important to me that that has to come first. And then we look at like our family financially and say, like you said, money's not everything, but when you don't have it, it sure becomes it.
Yeah,
And so saying like, this all needs to be good, and my husband needs to be good with his providing and where we're at in life.
yeah. I'm glad that you defined in the way you use the word balance, because I think at a surface level statement, a lot of people don't realize that when you say, "Oh, I have a good work-life balance," that for me it conjures up like a scale. And you
Yes.
go, "Oh, I'm trading off." And that's why I've tried to shift my language to, just for me, it's like harmony. I'm in harmony.
Yes.
Yesterday,
I love
yesterday
that.
I worked all day,
Uh-huh.
actually, while at the same time me and my daughter went up into the mountains and scouted camping spots for this weekend. And it's kind of sort of it wasn't the coolest thing. It was interesting that I was able to take a call at a very remote lake with my engineer. But at the same time, it was sort of like, I guess I'm never not connected. But that's part of the harmony. If you're an entrepreneur, it
Right.
is what it is. Yeah. So you
And
mentioned
you have
family.
to find it. Like, that's harmony for you. For me, if I do
Yeah.
that too, it's like, it's fine. Like, that works for you.
Yeah, 100. Yeah, it was a very beautiful day for sure.
Yeah.
What is you mentioned, family financials. What does legacy wealth mean to you?
So legacy wealth to me is what we're building right now, our life that we're leaving, whether that's income, whether that's the impact I leave on my kids, leaving it in a way that they carry on. So for me, wealth means more than just money. It's wealth of relationships, it's wealth of giving, it's wealth of knowledge, but in a way that's, you're taking action on that knowledge. You're giving, it's not like you're just receiving it, you're giving it. So wealth is like abundance, prosperity, and bigger words than just money. Because if you, like, I've asked for an abundant life. Well, I have 5 kids. So I think in that aspect, anytime it gets crazy, I'm like, Tab, you asked for this. But with that comes other responsibilities. And so teaching my kids, it's okay to want money. Like, that's fine. Like, there's no evil there, because I was taught, only the evil people get money, or there's, they do shady things and they're mean and, oh, they're greedy and all this stuff. And I want to teach my kids, no, that's other people's opinions of that. Money is just a tool. Now, it's a very important tool and people will use it in evil ways. So you have to, check your heart. But what do you want to do? What kind of difference do you want to make in this world? What are your gifts? Like, what did God give you right
Mhm.
now to share with the world? And how can you make money on that and make an impact and be fulfilled? You know, what does success and achievement look like? Are we just striving for that till we get accolades? Are you just wearing that Under Armour shirt because everybody else says you're cool? Or do you actually like that? Right. So like defining those things, those are characteristics that I know will withstand the test of time. Because when I was doing research on families and generational wealth, by second generation, 70% of wealth was gone. By third generation, 90% of wealth is gone. To me, that's crazy because somebody who is blood, sweat, and tears right now, by third generation, it's gone. And why? Well, when I was doing research on this, the number one thing that kept coming up was communication.
Mm.
Even if that person that built that wealth, you know, they had everything, all their assets, all the legalities, all that stuff in place. They didn't communicate that to their kids, and they didn't teach their kids what to do with it. They were just like, here you go. Here's, you know, $10 million, $1 million, whatever, $100,000. You give somebody who's never worked for it or have the characteristics, you give them even $10,000. It's gone, you know, especially people who were used to a lifestyle where it takes a lot of money to continue that lifestyle. So like for my kids, yes, we give them blessings. Like our kids, when they buy a car, we'll match whatever they make. So we
Nice.
tell them like, hey, that's our blessing on you.
Hmm.
But the work part of that is, hey, if you want a really nice car, you're going to earn more than just $500 because you're not going to get much for 1,000, right? So
Yep.
like if you want that $10,000 car, you still have to make $5,000. And then we're investing and giving a blessing to you to have a little bit better car. So we're teaching them those things like, we're not just going to give it to you, but there are blessings that are bestowed upon you. And that the Bible teaches us that. And so we're
Yep.
just teaching them those principles and determination, persistence, ambition, how you can use that for good, giving, philanthropy. Like, you know, your money is a gift and it's a tool, but it also can bless other people. So where do you want to do that? Even if they earn $10, they have to tithe. They have to look at giving, like, you know, at least $2 of that. So it's like, even with a little, we want to teach them that because then when they have a lot, they're already going to be used to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. I think that's where it starts, where there's a lack of communication, and then
Yep.
the next generation comes along and they just have no idea what to do with it. I've seen it happen in my family. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a difficult thing to process when you see it happen. You mentioned your faith a couple of times, so I have to ask you.
Yeah.
uh, For me as an entrepreneur, my faith, the building I'm sitting in right now,
Mhm.
there was a period of time where I was basically kind of walking and praying and working at the same time, like 80 days in a row. Our back was against the wall. And there's been so many other little instances in my professional life and personal life, but professionally speaking,
Yeah.
where I can see the hand of God working, and then there's providence happening all the time. I wonder if
Yep.
you could share something like that, and about yourself, if you've had anything happen to you like that professionally, where you're just like, this is providence.
Oh yeah, like every day. I'm a visionary. So I see things that have not happened to me, nor should I even see that they can happen to me because of
Interesting.
where we live and circumstances. And even as I pray in my frustration, I call my whiny moments, right? We all have
Hmm.
them.
Hmm.
Even as I say it out loud, I'm like, I hear God's whisper of like, but where's the trust? Where's the faith?
Yeah.
Like, where I'll say like, God, I did this thing and I haven't seen it. And but it's not your timing. Or I want to do this, but I'm scared because of this. And he's like, but when did you not trust me? Right. And I think that trust comes from my moments with him in the morning, in the shower, in the car. I don't have like an hour prayer time. I wish I did. My life is full. Maybe when all my kids are in school, I can squeeze it in. But I always devote some sort of time. Honestly, even if it's just in the shower, I will tell my kids, I don't even need a shower. I already showered today. I'm going in the shower because I know I can have quiet time. Or I'm going for a drive. We live in a rural area. I'm like, I'm just going for a 10-minute drive and I'll talk out loud. Like I'm a very verbal processor, or I'll go for a walk in the country and I'll just go where nobody is and I'll just talk out loud to God. And sometimes it's crying, sometimes it's not. But as I verbally process it, he helps me process it mentally and in my soul. And so I see this honestly, even when I met my husband, I was 15. My daughter's going to be 15 this year. So that was like crazy to me. But when I dated him, when I started like pursuing him, because I pursued him, he was very shy
Uh-huh.
and I am not. So I'm like, I'm gonna, which is not the social norm, even, late 90s. And so early 2000s. So I was like, I'm gonna see this guy. And I remember telling one of his friends, like sincerely, like as if it was from God, and people can laugh at me. But I told his friend, I said, if he would just date me, I know we will get married someday. And
Interesting.
I was certain, like it was not a puppy love thing. And when I tell people, they laugh and they're like, no, I'm like, no, like I don't know why.
Hmm.
I don't, because I had an older sister that dated every guy under the sun. She was very promiscuous. So it wasn't like I was modeled this, and she was my role model.
Of
So like
course.
I really shouldn't have like seen this one guy and been like, I'm gonna marry you. That wasn't like a normal thing.
Yeah.
And that's happened in business. Like the first business venture where I spent $3,000, which for me, it'd be like if I spent 30,000 now,
Today.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, just certain. It was just like, God was like, do it. And I'm like, okay. And it made no sense because I hated sales. Like I
Huh.
hated salespeople. And it was a network marketing company. And it was just that moment where God just said, trust me, I will do something here. You don't know it all, but I'm going to do something here.
Yeah. This is why I think artists are actually a lot like entrepreneurs, and artists are actually a lot more similar than people would think,
Yeah.
because my girlfriend's an artist, and she has one of my previous wife was an artist. Like you just know when I'm an architect, right? So like you just
Yeah.
know when something feels right.
Yes.
And then you're like, yep, that's the move.
Yep.
And so there is some logic to the whole thing. What do you think is the hardest part though about being an entrepreneur?
It is that trust. It's that, for me, it's I want to do it all and I'm very ambitious. But again, I have to check myself and say, is my ambition running over my family? Because I'd work 12, 14 hours a day on what I do. Like I'd stay here all day. But I know the wake of that, what it would do to my kids. So I have to really check myself there. I think entrepreneurs, especially nowadays, because people are like, it's the easiest time to be an entrepreneur because every information's at your fingertips and ads and all that. But with that comes the shiny object syndrome, like, oh, I should be doing this. Oh, I should be doing this. Oh, I like this. Oh, I needed to be doing this. And looking at your market space, even right now, like we are teetering on doing this, like maybe an online boutique, which is way out of my comfort zone. But I could do it with my daughters. But I also sit down and say, this is an expensive hobby. Like I have to make it work. And I think some entrepreneurs jump into stuff and they don't look at the road and say, okay, what sales and marketing, what needs to be in place? What do I need to do? They just kind of jump in and then it gets really hard and they are not sure, like their cash flow isn't there. Same with investing, right? Like they didn't do the numbers right. They just jumped in and then the cash flow isn't there. And then they're in panic mode and it's like when little kids going underwater, their eyes are like this big and they don't know how to hire the who or when do I do that? They're not sure on the tax strategy. So then taxes are eating them alive. And it's like, if you just did a little bit of planning, and I say this because I'm a jumper, like I will jump into something without fully looking at it. Cause I'm just like, yeah, let's do it. And of course you want to take action, but you need to take that action with knowing, okay, I need to spend this much on sales and marketing. Like it's actually about getting it to the marketplace because you can have a fantastic idea. You can have the best clothes. You can be the most amazing singer. And if you do not market yourself, you're going to go under. Just look at the entertainment industry. There are some phenomenal singers that had just one hit wonders because they didn't know the sales and marketing piece. They didn't have the right people surrounding them that were going to lift them up. They have the scammers that are like, oh yeah, we'll promote you. You will do this. And then they take all the money and run because that person is the artist or the entrepreneur. And they're not necessarily that leader, that CEO that's going to take that to the next level. They just have the great idea and you have to have that next level.
Yeah, 100%. What are three things you think every entrepreneur should know?
First it's vision, like your why, like why are you doing it? Like if
Mm,
you are an entrepreneur, again, I have to check myself because I can get in the muck of like, I love speaking and training and I could work for 12 hours, but why am I doing this?
am I
Well, for a
doing it?
better life for my family. Well, if my kids want me there now and their life sucks right now because I'm over here, that's kind of silly, right? So like always checking that why, but having a vision. Like I've always had a vision of what our life can be, and that has anchored me in really hard times, like times that I want to give up on what I'm doing. I say, can I give up on the vision though? Because what I'm doing will bring me to that vision if I keep persisting. But it's just really hard right now. So I've never been able to give up on the vision because it's that strong. So that is like first and foremost. And two is I say action with the right people, meaning you need to take action, but you need to surround yourself. Get in a mentorship group, get in a mastermind group, be around the people that are going to show you those things that are going to move the needle, check you when you're being lazy, or maybe you're doing work priority over family life. Like be around those people that are going to be honest with you, but also show you the road and take action on that road. So it's like action with people. And then the third one is forgiveness. I alluded to this before, but forgiving not only yourself, that is so important to every day forgive yourself, because you are one person and you're gonna fall flat on stuff, and you're gonna lose your temper, and you're gonna maybe not do stuff right, and you're gonna like, most entrepreneurs are driven, so we're really hard on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But when we do that, that takes a lot of energy, and it takes our focus away from what we're called to do. And in the Bible, it talks about this. The enemy will derail you with your own frustration, with your own unforgiveness. But when you can forgive yourself and move on, it's like this lightheartedness. The next day, you will do those things that you fell flat on the day before. And then forgiving people around you. I gave this example yesterday. It's like forgiving your kids, forgiving your spouse, forgiving your VA for falling flat, forgiving Mark Zuckerberg for taking all your money in ads, like just giving forgiveness. Because if you hold on to the grudging and the anger, or maybe you had a program that you spent $10,000 on and they scammed you, like you have to forgive them, because otherwise it's just hurting you. And when you really, like, if this point nails for people, it will free them up, and amazing things will happen in their business and personal life.
Those are great. Thank you, Tab. Last two questions. We're running up on the half hour here. Going back in time, and when you first started your business, what is one piece of advice you could give yourself?
I wish we would have gotten a really good real estate mentor from the beginning and grew our real estate faster when our three older girls were younger. That is one thing that we played it safe, and I didn't want to railroad my husband, and he was just very like so scared, and he stuck in working for my father-in-law, and I wish he would have released that a lot earlier, and we would have acquired more properties and not been so fearful in that space.
I love it. Tab, you've been fantastic. Thank you for being a guest on the show today. If people want to reach out to you and follow you, where can they get in touch with you?
So I'm on Instagram, Tabatha Thorell. I'm Tabatha Thorell on YouTube. That's where my podcast is, and also different tips on the Legacy Wealth Project, and just kind of, there's a lot of different stuff on there. And then Keep Legacy Wealth is the website where you can learn more about, buying income properties, and then just for your family, your legacy wealth and what that means.
Beautiful. Thanks so much again for being a guest. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Lance.